Good morning, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing a subject to you that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know, and that is freedom, with special emphasis on it being not free. Maybe you've heard this. Freedom isn't free. It's a common saying here in the United States. Here we learn from early on in our educational careers that it's a free country. Everyone here has heard this, pretty much everyone. Couldn't tell you what that means, honestly, because I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking for it. Not trying to be cynical, but I don't believe it is a free country. I believe the expression freedom isn't free sums that up pretty well, but I want to take that apart in 5 minutes or a little bit more or less. Freedom isn't free. What does that mean? Well, I believe the saying is kind of meant to give credit to our troops, mostly, our fighting men and women in the armed forces who are tasked to defend our country. And I want to say that I understand patriotism. I do. I get it. I understand love for one's homeland, one's community, and the values it embodies. However, there's going to be a however. Patriotism precipitates nationalism. What does that mean? That's a mouthful, huh? Patriotism precipitates nationalism. Well, that means that the bigger a patriot you are, the more likely you are to fight people, other countries. And this is true. This is actually historically proven. And this video isn't about that, but I digress. I like to talk about policies, the military, foreign policy in particular, but this video is definitely not about that. It's about freedom, and I'm just going to get right to it. The idea that freedom isn't free it's wrong. It's wrong to begin with. Freedom is the default. I want to go on record and say that in the absence of administration, you have freedom by default. It's already there. It's what fills the vacuum of rules when you take the rules away. And another thing that we learned from early on, that I learned, I should speak for myself, in education and just the common dialogue and rhetoric that we are exposed to here. There's a standard software package that everyone receives, behavioral software, and it includes things like anarchy is bad. These ideas are paired very early on for many people. Anarchy equals chaos. But does it? I mean, this isn't about that either, but if you ask me, every rule is a confession of failing to not need the rule. This is a complex idea. I'm going to say that again. Every rule, every policy, every regulation is a confession of failure to not need it, to have failed to solve the problem that gave rise to it in the first place. I look at laws, policies, regulations, rules, all that stuff, legislature, as reactions to failing to anticipate behavior. And yes, of course, we have to react. Of course, we have to respond to bad behavior. I'm not saying we don't, but at what point do we accept and agree that the goal is to maximize freedom, is to minimize the restrictions so that we're free to do what we have to do good things, hopefully. This isn't an easy idea for people, that anarchy, that absence of rules or fewer rules is a good direction to go in. Many people, they choose to err on the side of control and expectation of failure. That's a big one. A lot of people try to see things first in terms of worst case scenarios. What could go wrong? Well, that's a choice you make, really, to look at it that way. Or you could equally look at it as what could go right. You could start with that. I choose to start with that. I choose to look at things in terms of expecting success while anticipating what could go wrong. That's an option. Anyway, these are complex ideas. So back to the subject of freedom. Freedom, if you look at it, is so valuable that it may be the only currency. When things boil down, money, any kind of assets or things that you might try to obtain, they're all kind of aspects of freedom, liberty to do what you need to do what you want to do, to feel good about yourself and enjoy yourself, right? And your family, not just you, but everybody that you like and love. Freedom to do that. Money is freedom. Freedom may be the only thing, but how is it not free? Because, well, there's scarcity, there's conflict. I want to just talk about that. Connects with the idea that our independence, our individual freedom, is at odds with other people and other countries. But is it? Why is that? Let's look at conflict for a second. I've talked about this in my other videos. Why is there so much conflict? It's not complicated. There's only two reasons there's conflict. It's either scarcity or miscommunication. You don't have to take my word for it. I've actually done the math already, and I'll wait for you to get here. Scarcity, not enough stuff. I've got something, you want it, or you got something and I want it. That's called scarcity. That's a cause for conflict. It's legitimate. The other cause is miscommunication, misunderstanding. If I say something and you say something, well, one of us is going to be right about it, or we're both wrong, I guess. In any case, the only reason we would fight is if there was a miscommunication, misunderstanding about the truth. I'll wait, figure it out. I'm quite sure. Anyway, once you understand that conflict is simple and that freedom is there without any need to provide for it until there is authority and conflict, authority in response to conflict mainly, it looks different. Suddenly you start asking yourself, why are we spending trillions of dollars a year on fighting for freedom when it's already there? And maybe this is the secret. Maybe I'm going out on a limb here and saying we don't need to spend that much money on it. People have been shot for saying less. Well, if I'm here tomorrow, I'll make another video. And I hope this finds you well. If you have questions or comments, have a free day. Enjoy yourselves. WhiteHeartRobot@gmail.com. Thank you.